Hello everybody, Petro here. Because daycares are closed, I got my junior agronomy intern hanging out with me. And I've had a lot of questions on corn population, so we're going to go ahead and go through how to pick that population. And it'll be a quick short video so we can get to nap time. Alright, so when we're thinking about a corn population, there's two things that really come into play. Number one is your hybrid. So each hybrid responds to population differently, and your yield environment. So typically the more yield that you're going to make, the better the ground, the better chances of making yield, the higher you want the population to be. So we usually work in this kind of continuum between flex and fixed. And just to highlight a couple examples, I've got 309 days that I work with, and one fits in this flex range. And a typical ear is 20 around by 35 long. If we look at our in-between product and our fixed ear product, if we keep length the same, you'll see that we're going to have more kernels. So we'll have 700 kernels on the flex product. We're going to have 560 on the indeterminate or the in-between, and then we'll have 490 kernels per ear on the fixed ear product. So what that means is we have more potential here to fill a deeper kernel and get more larger kernels than we would here. So if we're going to produce the same number of kernels per acre and the same size, we may need to plant this at a higher population than we would this. We do have some products that if they get into the right conditions, they can really fill out a deep kernel at the end of the season, but that really depends on what happens at the end of the season. So if we're just talking strictly numbers, we're going to need more ears of this size to make up for more ears of that size. So how this tends to come out, if we look at our population, so our population increase is going this way, and our yield environment increase is going this way, you're going to see a point where you get a maximum yield. So let's say for this 240, that's our maximum, and then it starts to drop off. For 180 bushel per acre environment, we tend to see a lower population where that peaks and then starts to go. And then for this hybrid in between here, when we get to this low population, we really see a very flat curve. So with this number of kernels per plant, that's enough to maximize yield pretty low in this, but we see a very flat curve. So our max population might be at 28,000 seeds per acre here, but we're putting more and more seed out. That's costing us more and more money, so we tend to back this up. So we have our max yield versus what we can call our agronomic population, our economic population, and there's lots of different formulas for figuring this out. This is where your seed rep comes in, so hopefully they've done the work in the background to figure out where these are at. But what you can see is sometimes you'll get a hybrid in this in-between that it's more flexing on the bottom end because we don't need to produce that many kernels. So the 190 that I work with, it's in this range. In this 140 bushel per acre environment, you can plant it at 24,000, no problem. But as it starts to get into a higher and higher yield environment, we're not making enough kernels. So it will need to be increased in population. And for this hybrid, when we're down here, it's 24,000. When we get up here, our economic population is 40,000 seeds per acre. So even a hybrid that's kind of indeterminate can flex a little bit. It can need population to get to that maximum yield point. So work with your seed rep. They should know these numbers off the top of their head, hopefully. If not, their agronomist can spout them out for you. But just realize that we want to pick our hybrid for the field. Make sure we've got the right hybrid first. Then we compare the yield environment that we're going to be working in, and then we pick our population based off of those factors. There's a lot more in the background here. We can talk about hybrids that don't have good stalks, and if you push them too high, they fall over. Yield environment changes across the field. That's where we get into variable rate seeding paying for itself. But those are more videos for the future. So that's just the basics of how you come along on that population, and hopefully everybody has a good day.